Hi, my name is Erin, and I'm currently a college student studying social work. And this semester, I had to take a class, microeconomics. And in this class, we had an assignment where we had to find out our personal traits and how to apply these to a career that is fitting. Well, as luck would have it, my teammates and I all received traits of INFJ, which stand for introvert, intuitive, feeling, and judging, which correlate very well with social work. How, you ask? Well, let's start with what is social work and how does a college student get started in this field? And what does climbing the career ladder look like? And of course, how much will you get paid? Okay, so what is social work? I think most people imagine this stern woman in a pantsuit that comes into somebody's houses and judges them all while taking notes on her oversized clipboard. Well, let me reassure you, this is not at all the case. Social work has a dual purpose, the first being to promote individual well being and then social justice. Social workers are out there fighting for the underdog. Whether it's on the micro, meso, or macro level, social work is doing its best to provide help and resources to the people. At the micro level, social workers are often met with clients in an individual session or small group sessions to set goals. This provides resources and counseling. And at the meso level, we are thinking about a social worker that works in schools, local community programs, or in institutions. The goal there is to provide solutions, awareness, resources, and counseling on a much broader scope. And then at the macro level, social workers are working on state policies that affect the entire field of social work. In all of these levels of social work, there must be a level of sound judgment to make the hard decisions, like when to terminate with a client or how to deliver the hard truth. This also calls for your intuitive nature to know when to follow through with these tough calls. And of course, a good social worker has empathy for their client and the journey. But how does a college student get started in the field of social work? Well, it starts with applying to a social work program, which is often a 4-year degree. This will give the student a bachelor in social work that opens the door for case management and other entry-level jobs. We will talk more about the demand for social work with my teammate Sierra takes over. Now, if a student chooses to go into the master's program, the master's program, this opens many career opportunities for them. They can go on to private practice or to climb the career ladder and become a supervisor at a community program. Or they could work at the state level working on policies and creating state programs. A social work student could also go on to receive their clinical licensing so they can practice without supervision. Every state requires a different credentialing for licensing, so be sure to check with your ASW or your Associates of Social Work Board for the requirements. Now, salary. That depends on your education and your experience, and if you're going to work for private practice or nonprofit. For the sake of this video, we're going to talk about a BSW for education and working for a for-profit company. Annual salaries can start at $30,000 and go up to $50,000 a year. This leads us to our next section of this market analysis of supply and demand.
Defined as the amount that producers are willing and able to make available for sale at all prices during a given time period. This ultimately just means making a product available for someone. So in the case of a child, family, and social worker, the supply would be all of the individuals who have been through the certification progress and are currently seeking out a job in this career. Demand is going to go hand in hand with supply and can be defined as the amount of a good that buyers are willing and able to purchase for any price during a given time period, which in this case ultimately means the number of jobs that are actually available for a child, family, and social worker and how much they are going to get paid. One specific study that we looked into was with the Health Resource Service Administration that predicted 2 scenarios for supply and demand in the social work field. The first scenario was that in the year of 2016, supply and demand would both be at equilibrium. The second accounts for adjustments to current and unmet needs for behavioral health services. So between the year of 2016 and 2030, the national supply for social workers is predicted to grow by over 300,000 people. This means that the U.S. will have a great supply of social workers to meet the demand in the year of 2030. However, this study does talk about social workers as a whole, and there are other professions that can be classified as social work, such as nurses, social service agents, paraprofessionals, etc. And the case can vary slightly depending on a child, family, and social worker. So after talking about the supply and demand, we can finally talk about market trends to come with it.
Projected to grow 19% from 2012 to 2022. Job prospects are expected to be favorable, particularly for social workers who specialize in aging population or work in different areas. The growing elderly population and aging baby boom generation will create greater demand for health and social services, resulting in rapid job growth among social workers. Employment of social workers in private social service agencies also will increase. Nationally, employment of children, family, and school social workers is expected to grow by about 12%, which is as fast as the average for all occupations. Demand for children and family social workers should continue as these workers are needed to investigate child abuse cases, place children in foster care, and with adoptive families. Demand for school social workers will continue to lead to more job efforts and expand to respond to raising student enrollments, as well as continue emphasis on integrating children with disabilities into general school population. There could be competition for school social work jobs in some areas because of the limited number of openings. The availability for federal, state, and local funding will be a major factor in determining the actual job growth in schools. Mental health and substance abuse workers will grow by almost 20% over the 2008-2018 decade, which is much faster than the average. In particular, social workers specializing in substance abuse will experience strong demand.